Good morning, friends. Last time spoke at length on what I did not learn in elementary school. Well, this morning I'd like to share a few things that I did learn. I don't know if it was the third, fourth, fifth grade. I'm not sure because that was many years ago. But the fashion of bell-bottom pants had come back into circles, and all the folks at school, the young people, were wearing bell-bottoms. And I could see, I sensed that in order to be, with the in crowd, I needed to get a pair of bell bottoms. So I was learning a little bit about breaking the law. I went to a church. It was in the neighborhood, broke into the Coke machine, got the money out of the Coke machine, went out and bought a pair of bell bottom pants. Got to school. I wore the bell-bottom pants. I thought, this is going to be a fashion statement. I'm going to be in with the crowd now. And when I walked into the elementary school, which is about 3-4 blocks from my home, everybody in the school, it seemed as if everyone in the school turned and started laughing at me. And I noticed that the stripes in their pants were going up and down, and my stripes were going round and round. Kind of a early introduction to something today I call public humiliation. But I was beginning to sense that the package that we place upon our bodies, the clothes that we hang on this poor mortal flesh, had a lot to do with how people received you, how people treated you. I was learning that at an early age, that clothes truly make a difference. That if you come just dressed in plain Jane garb, that people don't treat you very well. But if you can have the cutting edge of fashion, if your shoes can be a certain kind of certain brand, and your clothes could have a certain look. I remember it was fashionable wingtip shoes, suede wingtip shoes, and I finally got a pair, but it didn't seem to increase my popularity. But again, I was learning that the outside is more important than the inside, learning that in elementary school. And then, when I was young, even today, fourth, fifth, sixth grade, my ears were growing faster than my head. I had big ears. And of course, I was 6 feet, but then I was probably 6 feet. Today, I'm 6'6" and still have big ears. But in the elementary school, I had big ears, and I was the tallest one in the class. So often I'd hear those jokes, how's the weather up there? And, those kind of remarks. And people would make fun of my ears. Now, I sit here and laugh about it now, but back then it was heartbreaking. And I was also learning that it's not just the clothes you place on your body, it's the physical appearance. If you had a young student that would meet what the world calls the description of pretty, then they were treated very differently. But if somebody did not look normal, if they did not look like the other young folks, if they kind of had features that marked them as being different, it was not pleasant. And so that's what I was learning in school. The educational system I was in was elementary school, grades 1 to 7, then high school, grades 8 to 12. So I was in elementary school, I think the last 2 or 3 years there. They separated the classroom by Class A, Class B, Class C. So they split like the 6th grade into 3 groups. You're placed in Class A, Class B, or Class C. And everybody knew the dummies were in Class C. All the smart folks were in Class A. And I'm not going to tell you which class I was in. I'm not going to say. But, it was, you were regarded as kind of slow if you were placed in the C-level class. And of course, if you were placed in the A-level class, you were thought to have a superior intellect. And I was learning another lesson, that really placement in an educational system is based on intellect, not your character. Intellect is what you know. Character is what you are. Intellect is knowledge that resides up here. Character is an individual heart experience that resides down there. And this distinction was made: intellect, A group; not so much intellect, C group. And I was learning that lesson, that the higher IQ placed you in a higher level as far as educational attainments, those kind of things go. And then one more lesson. I mean, of course, like you, I was learning many things in school. I learned how to read. I learned how to write. I learned something about arithmetic. I was learning some good functional skills. It's hard to be able to function if you can't read and can't write. So, but those are the things that stood out in my memory. I remember, we had the classes and history class and sociology class and basic biology class and simple math classes, elementary school. And I guess I was learning some basics. Some of the first things you need to do to prepare your mind to receive more truth. Like you need to understand 2 plus 2 before you go into a squared plus b squared equals c squared. But those weren't the lessons that really were life-changing for me. It was more the lessons about fashion, the lessons about appearance, the lessons about intellect. And I'll share one more. I think it was either the 6th or the 7th grade. I didn't have a lot of friends in school, but I had befriended a couple of people. They were twins, actually. They were twins in my grade. I got invited over to a spend the night party, and my mom let me go, and went over and got there. So went and to the bedroom, and they had a drum set, and they were showing me playing the drums and this, that, and the other. And they brought a magazine out, and I opened it up, and it was like a fold-out. I'd never seen that before. And that was, in the 6th or 7th grade, my first exposure to that kind of thinking. It was a total shock and a surprise to me. I didn't even know what it was. And when he unfolded this magazine and showed me, these pictures, my first impulse was shock. I didn't know what it was. And that was the beginning of an education in immoral thinking, which didn't seem to go against what I've been learning. The way you look, the clothes you wear, the intellect above character. That was just another lesson that was leading me down the road that finally dead-ended when I was 35. And I dead-ended in desperation, just wanted to kill myself. But that was the early start in elementary school. The challenge you face. And I faced this challenge, Isaiah 1:17. Now, I know usually when I'm sharing about my own testimony, I put a lot of Bible principles in. I haven't put any principles in this morning because this is not a biblical presentation. This is what I was learning in school, and it was not a biblically correct perspective. And I'll tell you the challenge there, because as you imbibe these different ideas, and as you begin to formulate your thinking, as your mindset is configured, the problem is, Isaiah 1:17, it says, learn to do well. If you harbor a lot of wrong ideas, if you have in your mind a lot of incorrect principles and thinking, before you can learn to do well, you got to unlearn all that other stuff. And my dear friends, it is a chore to unlearn. It can be very, very difficult to unlearn. It really can. But that's the first step. You can't put a new wine in an old bottle. You got to be able to have a new bottle to place in new truth. So I'm going to flash forward to when I was, this would have been a little less than 30 years later. I'm sitting at a table with Christians, and they are sharing with me certain concepts, certain ideas, certain thoughts. And I began to have this idea that's coming to my mind, that if what they're saying is right, then everything I've been taught, just about everything I've been taught, is wrong. And to come to a decision that I've got to give up almost 35 years of life as far as what I've learned, the information I have, to give it up as being false, inaccurate, and in a lot of cases harmful. That was a tough step to make. That's why I say, in order to learn to do well, Isaiah 1:17, you first have to unlearn. And unlearning comes at a price. It really does. John 17:17, sanctify them through the truth. Thy word is truth. Not what you learn in an educational institution, but what you learn in the Bible. We hope and we pray that the education gained in a university will be in synchronization with the education gained in the Bible. But if they're not, you've got to unlearn one to receive the other. John 14:6, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Proverbs 23:23, buy the truth and sell it not. Truth is the currency of heaven. It's what heaven values. My dear friends, when we look out upon the world, we got to have a mind calibrated with truth. When we see somebody, when we see the outside, when we see the clothes they wear, when we see their intellect and heart religion can be very, very different. A man can be a genius in his mind and be as wicked as the day is long. So God help us today as we are shaped by what we hear, what we see, what we taste, what we touch, what we smell, and maybe, just maybe, the biggest shaping influence is our school days. God bless you. You have a nice day.